Hey everybody, this is Brent, Central Arkansas. Today's video is about peppers, and I've got two breeding lines and one parental comparison line. So there's three varieties, if you will. One is corbello, and that's the first four here. Its parent, one of its parents, is Jimmy Nardello. I've got two of Jimmy Nardello to compare it back to and possibly breed back to. That'll be determined later in the taste test. Okay, over here, this started out as a breeding here that Jim did. A friend of mine, he's also on YouTube, his Midwest Gardener. Now he put some seeds up with a pepper person, and I bought the seeds from them, and I think it was a third generation, maybe it was a second generation, I'm not sure. But I thought it was a neat cross between a corbacci, which is a somewhat similar pepper to Jimmy Nardello, a little smoother, a little longer, maybe a little thicker walled, but also sweet. It's a comparative similar type pepper, but it definitely wasn't a Jimmy Nardello. So when he crossed them, my mind said that's a really good cross. That's going to be a good pepper. So I bought the seeds, and this is either the second or third generation after I got them. So this is like, I'm going to guess the fifth generation, meaning it's very close to being open pollinated. And I'd considered, if you look at this one compared to Jimmy Nardello, you can see they start out a really light green and they almost get yellowish in color. Now that, to me, my color vision is not the greatest, but it's a very light green, not yellow. But I've got some more growing. I seem to remember that they turned yellow last year, but maybe they didn't. But there's a difference between this and this, both in the thickness and the length. And like here's the Jimmy Nardello again. Now, I got these seeds, I'm pretty sure, from Johnny Seeds. So they're a reputable seed company. So that is what Jimmy Nardello looks like growing for me, right next to its child that Midwest Gardener Jim bred. And that's what it looks like. The leading candidate for me for the next generation is this one. Let me touch the back of the camera so I can see what you see. So this is another possibility. What I'm going for, and what I'm noticing, and what I want to continue to go for, was a little bit more compact structure than Jimmy Nardello, a little bigger fruit, but the same wonderful taste with possibly just a shade bit thicker walls. So we'll get back to that in just a minute, but I want to talk about this. This is Italian sweet, and this was a total loss as far as I'm concerned. The plants I did not get. I had 4 on here, but well, I still got 4. I had 5 in there. So they did not carry forward the genetics from last year. In fact, most of the plants aren't producing at all. This one's got 1 on it, and this one doesn't have any on it either. And I don't know why they're not setting. I don't know if it has something to do with the bed. It's just not fantastic at all. But one of them is sort of more or less reverted back to its parent, which is a giant Italian, and it's not even the best shape either. I don't know why this bed is so awful, but gross. That's absolutely gross. So anyway, yeah, this particular one, I'm gonna go ahead and take it. I mean, and we'll give it a taste. But it's essentially one of the parents, so it's not really worth much in my opinion. We'll keep it. We'll give it a taste. It may be exceptional for some reason. Okay, so that's the negative. I gotta regrow all of Italian sweet next year, and I want the longer, thinner orange peppers that were so fantastic that I had last year. Let's consider production, because the amount of fruit you get off of a plant is darn important, right? So a productive side or comparison between the two sides, Jimmy Nardello and Corbello. Here, let's take a look. This is Jimmy Nardello. Now, all these things, the growing conditions are the same. So it's the same bed, they get the same fertilizer, they're growing in the same amount of light and all that kind of stuff. So let's just take a look, just kind of a general look up the plant. Jimmy Nardello there. You got the Jimmy Nardello there. There's a good bit of fruit on there. Now let's go over here, and the contrast is more, but you have to pay closer attention. This one looks about the same as the Jimmy Nardello. This particular plant looks about the same. So I'm gonna square them off here, just kind of a general glance here, that the production is about the same. So this plant here looks like it's producing a good bit more actually than the others, Corbellos. So this one plant here might be one to carry forward to the next generation. So taste is going to be a little more important when the production is all pretty good. Actually, this one's a good bit more productive. So I'm going to key in on the taste on this one on the far left. So far, generally speaking, the production is about the same. Let me cut here. Let me get down low. Just sit on the ground here. I'm going to cut one of the Jimmy Nardellos here. This one's more or less red. This one is turning but still green. So I'm going to get a green one here just for comparison. We'll take this one here, just so you can see them ripe and unripe. And over here, I got to find one that's completely ripe. It is also turns a reddish color when it's fully ripe. This one's pretty darn close, but it's gross. So let me look at this plant here. Here's one I'm going to take for a comparison. Whoop, hit the dang camera with the cutters. I'm going to take one here for a comparison. Let me see if I can find one that's ripe. Here's one. It's gross. It's rotted on the end because I guess it was touching. Do I have one that's even ripe? This is the closest one to ripe that I've got. I'll go ahead and take that one. If I remember right, it doesn't get fully red. It gets more or less orange red. So we'll go with these. Later on I may show you here's one. Let me get my cutters. I don't want to cut that twine, holding it up. There we go. See, that one's not fully ripe either. I'll keep them both. And I'll take one of these over here, just so you can see if there's any variation in the two. All right, I'll carry them to the table and we'll take a look at them. So I wanted to show you some differences. Jimmy Nardello is a very well-liked pepper. It's a sweet pepper. There's no spice to it at all. Corbacci is not as well known at all. I think you can find the seeds at Rare Seeds. I'm trying to remember, Baker Creek, yeah, rareseeds.com, otherwise known as Baker Creek. So anyway, it is a slightly different type of pepper, but similar kind of. And so he made that breeding. I really liked it, and I've been growing out, and now I'm doing a comparison for you because I'm going to carry these out, and then of course I'll offer them up for people that want to purchase them. So right now I'm going to assess. I'm going to show you what they look like side by side. Then I'm going to cut them open. We'll get a look at the thickness. I'll do a taste test, and I'll attempt to get a bricks on it. Peppers are hard to bricks. So this was a pepper video, not just a comparison. And I've also pulled that one pepper that was pretty bad. I had, this was Italian sweet reversion. So I'm going to go ahead and do a taste test on that real quick as well. Okay, so right now you can see here these two are green Jimmy Nardello, ripe Jimmy Nardello, green, quote, green or unripe corbello, and ripe corbello. And I'm going to move them around just a little bit so you can see what unripe and ripe look like next to each other. You can see that the corbello is not as dark red, and there's no dark green in its, quote, green stage. All right, so let's cut them open and we'll get a look at the wall thickness. I'll just leave them in this order. The Jimmy Nardellos are getting softer. Okay, so we'll look at the thickness here, and my eye says that the corbello is a little bit thicker. That would be because the corbacci, the other parent, was a little bit thicker pepper. Let's see if that's true with the riper version. And the riper version shows the same thing to me. The corbello is a little bit thicker. Okay, so I'm going to sit down now because I'm having to look over behind the camera to make sure that what I'm showing you is worthwhile. So I'll get a taste of the green on each one real quick. The green Jimmy Nardello, kind of like a wheat bell pepper. Wow. The unripe corbello has got a little bit of sweetness to it, actually. I was surprised. The Jimmy Nardello doesn't have any. And it's also got a different flavor. I'm not sure if I like it yet or not. Okay, let's taste. Let me tap the back of the camera here so I can see it. Let's taste the Jimmy Nardello. A lot of sweetness. I would call that a high level of sweetness. Not the sweetest pepper I've had, but a high level of sweetness. Okay, let me finish swallowing that. And let's try the corbello ripened. Very nice. I would say it's on par with sweetness, but it's different tasting. I'm going to go back and forth to get a really good comparison, because the ripe fruit is where you get it from. The desired fruit is ripe. Okay, I would say the sweetness is on par with each other. That's about the same amount, a level of sugar. Tasting again. but there's differences in taste because sweet sugar is just part of the deal. Okay, the Jimmy Nardello is like more or less like a simple sugar. It's just got sweet, no tang, no pepper tang, nothing really stands out in flavor other than the sugar. Well, a little. Corbello is more complex. It's not bad. It's different, and I'm going to be honest, I can't pick a winner because they each have a quality that's good, and so I don't weigh, in my opinion, I don't think one outweighs the other in quality. Okay, so before I brix those two, or attempt to brix it, I'm going to go ahead and taste the Italian sweet. That this was a parent of this one is much better than these two. It is sweet, it's really sweet, and it's got a great taste to it. So I'm going to taste this one now. Look at the walls on that. That's bell pepper thick right there. Oh, nothing to write home at all on that one. It's got a very light amount of sugar, and it is nothing like its parent. So what I'm gonna have to do with this one, the Italian sweet, is I'm gonna have to grow out a lot of plants because I have to rediscover that longer thin. It's a long thin pepper, if you haven't seen that video of the Italian sweet yet. And it's bigger around. It's probably about that big around, but it looks like a very long extended bell pepper of sorts. All right, so let me get a Jimmy Nardello and attempt to squeeze some juice out of this. I got some juice on there. Let's see if it's enough to read it. It was 12. There we go. All right, I'm going to wipe this off and we'll get corbello. Squeezing the dickens out of a pepper just for a video. Okay, now it shows 13. And I'm not sure why that fluctuated, but I'm going to try to show it to you. There it is. I'm not sure what it says because I'm looking behind the camera, but that's it. So we'll conclude this video. It's probably been long enough as it is. And I've got a tangled mess of peppers here. This is Brent, you guys. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please like, subscribe, and comment. I love talking to you guys. And until the next one,